Have you ever noticed how quickly we lose ourselves in moments of anger? A driver cuts us off in traffic and suddenly we are shouting behind the wheel. A colleague makes a careless remark and our heart starts racing as words spill out that we didn't plan to say. A family member questions us, and before we know it, we've raised our voice not to communicate, but to defend. We often mistake these explosions for strength, as if being louder, harsher, or more aggressive somehow proves we are powerful. But if we look closely, anger doesn't reveal strength at all. It reveals how easily we can be pushed off balance. It shows how fragile our control really is. True strength is quieter, deeper, steadier. It does not flare up and vanish like a spark. It endures like a flame that cannot be blown out. To remain calm, when provoked to hold your ground, when tested to keep your heart steady, when the world is shaking, that is power. The truth is simple. When you lose your calm, you lose yourself. And when you give away control of your emotions, letting other people's words, moods, or mistakes dictate how you feel, you are surrendering the very freedom that makes you whole. In this journey, we will explore 12 lessons about the hidden power of calmness. Lessons about why anger is not strength, why giving others control over your emotions is dangerous, why losing your temper is a form of defeat, and why calmness is the foundation of true resilience. These aren't abstract ideas. They are practices for daily life, grounded in ancient wisdom and confirmed by modern experience. Before we begin, I want to invite you into the conversation. Have you ever lost your calm? In a moment you later regretted, share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And if you find these reflections meaningful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss the rest of this 12-part journey. Anger has always been a complicated guest in the house of the human mind. It arrives uninvited, kicks the doors open and fills the space with smoke before we even realize what has happened. For centuries, cultures across the world have debated whether anger is useful or destructive. Some have tried to justify it as a fire that can push us to act to fight injustice or to defend ourselves. Yet if we look deeper beneath the surface heat, we find something sobering. Anger is not power, it is the loss of it. Think about the last time you saw someone explode in anger. Perhaps it was a colleague who slammed a desk during a meeting. Maybe it was a stranger at the grocery store shouting at the cashier. Or perhaps it was closer to home, a parent, a sibling, a partner, whose anger turned the air into something sharp and heavy. Did that person seem strong to you, or did they seem unsteady, almost fragile, like someone who had lost their grip? We live in a culture that often mistakes loudness for authority. The one who shouts the loudest seems to command the room. The one who intimidates with anger appears to have the upper hand. But this is an illusion. If strength means control, then anger is the opposite of it. Anger shows that we have been provoked, that our equilibrium can be disturbed by something outside of us. What kind of strength is it if a single comment, a small inconvenience, or another person's mistake is enough to steal our composure? True strength doesn't need to roar. Imagine a mountain standing silently through storms. The winds may howl, the rain may batter its sides, but the mountain does not shout back. Its strength lies in stillness. In the same way, the human spirit reveals its power not in outbursts, but in the ability to remain steady when tested. One of the clearest signs that anger is weakness is the regret that so often follows it. After the shouting fades and the storm passes, we are left with the debris words we wish we hadn't spoken, damage we didn't intend to cause, and relationships we may have fractured. Anger burns quickly, but it always leaves ashes. Consider the countless moments in history where leaders allowed anger to dictate their choices. Wars were sparked, Peace treaties destroyed entire communities divided because of rash decisions made in fury. On the smaller scale of our personal lives, the same pattern repeats. An argument at work escalates and suddenly we are labelled difficult. A moment of temper at home leaves scars on loved ones that apologies cannot erase. Strength should build, anger destroys. Strength should endure, anger collapses. Strength should bring clarity, anger clouds. Why then do so many people still cling to the idea that anger is power? The answer lies in what anger hides. Often anger is not the primary emotion, but a mask. Beneath it may be fear, insecurity, shame, or pain. It is easier to lash out than to admit vulnerability. A person who feels powerless might erupt in anger precisely because they feel weak inside. The performance of strength is an attempt to cover the reality of fragility. This is why anger is such a dangerous illusion. It convinces not only others, but also ourselves that we are strong, when in truth, we are trembling. What then is the alternative? It takes far more courage to remain calm in the face of provocation than to explode. Calmness is not the absence of feeling, it is the presence of control. It is the ability to let the first wave of emotion rise and fall without being swept away by it. It is choosing response over reaction, clarity over chaos. The next time you feel anger rising, imagine yourself standing at the edge of a storm. You can step into it, letting it toss you around, or you can take a single step back and watch. That single step back is strength. Consider two managers in a company faced with the same problem, a project failure. The first manager bursts into anger during a team meeting, pointing fingers, raising their voice, demanding explanations. The team shrinks, communication shuts down, and the real causes remain hidden. The second manager, though frustrated, takes a breath and addresses the issue calmly. They ask questions, listen, and guide the team towards solutions. Which manager appears stronger? The one who lost control or the one who maintained it? The answer is clear. Strength inspires trust. People follow those who are steady, not those who are volatile. A leader who rules through anger, rules through fear, but fear collapses over time. A leader who remains calm builds respect, and respect endures. The Stoics were masters at exposing the illusion of anger. Seneca, in his essay on anger, called it a brief madness. He argued that anger drags us away from reason, the very quality that makes us human. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his Meditations, reminded himself daily that people would be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. But rather than respond with anger, he chose to see their behavior as part of human nature beyond his control. Epictetus was even sharper. If you are provoked, remember that it is your own opinion which has provoked you. For the Stoics, strength was never measured by volume or aggression, but by self-mastery. To them, the one who remains calm when insulted is greater than the one who conquers cities. The Stoic way teaches us this simple truth. Anger is not power, it is surrender. Calmness, not rage, is the true mark of strength. When we think about anger, we often imagine it as a show of dominance. The raised voice, the clenched fists, the flushed face. It looks like someone taking charge. But if we pause and examine closely, what we really see is not strength, but loss of control. Anger is not a commander on a battlefield. It is a fire that consumes the very army it pretends to lead. Control is the essence of true power. Without control, even the most talented mind or strongest body becomes unreliable. Anger robs us of this essence. It hijacks our biology and clouds our judgment. Until we are no longer acting with intention, we are reacting blindly. Science tells us that anger is tied to the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear and aggression. When anger surges, stress hormones like adrenaline flood the body, heart rate spikes, breathing quickens, muscles tense. In this state, the rational prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that handles reasoning and long-term decision-making, takes a back seat. In other words, anger literally rewires our brain in the moment. We hand the steering wheel over to raw instinct, the same circuitry that once helped our ancestors fight predators. But today, most of our conflicts aren't with wild animals. They are with co-workers, family members, strangers on the road. In these situations, the ancient circuitry of rage rarely helps. Instead, it makes us reckless. The biology of anger shows us something humbling. The angrier we are, the less in control we become. Imagine a chess player who gets angry after losing a piece. Instead of thinking carefully about the next move, they slam their hand on the table and make a rash decision. Their opponent, calm and observant, immediately takes advantage. This is what happens in life too. When you lose your temper, you broadcast your vulnerability. You show others where your buttons are, how to provoke you, how to manipulate you. That's why anger is so dangerous. It hands your power to others. The person who provoked you may have been weaker in resources, skill, or position, but if they succeeded in making you lose control, they won. You gave them victory by showing that your emotions are not in your hands. Think of the workplace. An employee argues with a client, their frustration boiling over. In that moment, the client no longer sees professionalism, they see instability. Even if the employee is right, the anger overshadows the truth. The result to credibility lost. Or take a simple family disagreement. A parent who shouts in anger at their child may win temporary obedience, but they lose something far more valuable: trust and respect. The child learns not that the parent is strong, but that they are unpredictable. Or consider road rage. Two drivers cut each other off, anger flares, and suddenly a minor inconvenience escalates into dangerous behavior. Both drivers believe they are asserting dominance, but really both are slaves to their tempers. In all these cases, the moment of anger does not prove superiority, it only proves fragility. So why do we keep thinking anger is power? Partly because anger gives us a rush of energy. It feels like something is happening. Our heart pumps. Our voice rises. We feel alive. That surge tricks us into believing we're in command, when in fact we're being commanded by our biology. It's like grabbing a wild horse by the mane. For a few seconds you feel strong because you're riding the energy, but you're not steering the horse. The horse is steering you. Anger is the same, thrilling for a moment, disastrous if you don't regain control. The real mark of strength is not how fiercely we can explode, but how deliberately we can respond. A restrained reaction doesn't mean passivity, it means precision. It means you choose when and how to act, instead of being dragged by the tide of emotion. Picture two leaders negotiating a high-stakes deal. One loses his temper when challenged, raising his voice, slamming the table. The other listens, keeps steady eye contact, and replies calmly. Which leader commands the room? Which one walks away with more respect? The answer is clear. The one who controlled himself also controlled the outcome. Another reason anger proves loss of control is because it mirrors our inner state. When we erupt, it says less about the outside event and more about our inability to handle it. It's like a mirror that reflects our inner fragility. A person who is calm shows that they are anchored within themselves. A person who is angry shows they are easily moved like a boat without ballast. This is why anger often leaves us feeling embarrassed afterward. Deep down, we know we lost. Not to the other person, but to ourselves. Learning to pause. If anger is loss of control, then regaining control begins with the pause. A single breath, a short silence, a moment of awareness. These are small but powerful tools. They break the chain between trigger and reaction. In that pause, we reclaim the steering wheel. We remind ourselves, I cannot control the world, but I can control myself. That moment is strength. That moment is freedom. The Stoics understood long ago what modern neuroscience confirms. Anger is weakness disguised as strength. Epictetus warned, when you are offended, remember it is not the person who insulted you, but your opinion about it that has shaken you. In other words, the true disturbance lies not in the world but in our response. Seneca compared anger to a collapse of the mind, saying that it wages war against reason. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that others would behave badly, but that he always had the choice to remain unshaken. For the Stoics, losing control to anger meant surrendering the very thing that made us human, our capacity for reason. To master oneself was greater than mastering others. So the next time anger surges, remember, if you lose your calm, you have already lost. The true victory is not over another, but over the tempest within. What does it mean to be strong? Most people, if asked, will describe someone with visible power, the athlete who lifts tremendous weight, the politician who commands a nation, the executive who controls vast sums of money. Yet beneath all these images lies a quieter, deeper definition of strength, one that does not depend on status muscles or authority. True strength is self-mastery, the ability to govern your own impulses, emotions, and thoughts when the world presses against you. Outer power is what we usually see. It is measurable, visible, impressive. A soldier can conquer lands. A CEO can control markets. A speaker can sway crowds. But outer power without inner strength is fragile. A person may dominate others, yet remain a prisoner of their own temper, fears, or insecurities. Consider a leader who cannot control his anger. He may sit on a throne, but if a careless remark from an opponent can shake him into rage, what kind of king is he really? His crown is heavy, but his spirit is light, so light that it is blown about by the slightest insult. That is not strength. That is dependency. True strength, by contrast, is invisible. It is the power to keep calm when provoked, to stay steady when pressured, to act with intention when emotion urges recklessness. It is the mastery of oneself before the mastery of others. Self-mastery reveals itself in the calm person. Imagine two people in a heated argument. One shouts louder and louder, trying to force submission through volume. The other speaks softly but firmly, never losing composure. Which one truly commands the room? Which one earns lasting respect? Calmness is not weakness. It is the deepest form of control. To be calm when everyone else is agitated is to possess a kind of authority that no title can grant. It shows that you are anchored, not drifting. It shows that you lead yourself and therefore can lead others. There is another dimension to self-mastery: freedom. Without it, you are a slave even if you sit in a palace. If your moods depend on the moods of others, if your peace vanishes when circumstances shift, you are not free. You are chained to every opinion, every insult, every inconvenience. But when you master yourself, you break those chains. You are no longer dragged around by anger, fear, or craving. You carry your own weather inside you. Sunshine or storm, you remain whole. This is why self-mastery is not just strength, it is liberation. One of the clearest signs of self-mastery is the ability to delay reaction. Anyone can lash out in the heat of the moment. It takes no skill to let emotions explode, but to pause, to breathe, to wait until clarity returns, that is courage. Delaying reaction does not mean suppressing feelings. It means acknowledging them without letting them control you. It means saying, yes, I feel angry. Yes, I feel hurt, but I will not let these feelings dictate my choices. In that space between impulse and action, strength resides. An old story from the East tells of two warriors. The first was feared across the land for his ferocity. He would cut down opponents in rage, his face twisted with fury. The second was quiet, often underestimated. When insulted, he did not respond. When provoked, he stood still. One day, they met on the battlefield. The first charged screaming with rage. The second simply sidestepped, and with a single calm strike ended the fight. The lesson was clear. Wild force may look powerful, but disciplined control decides the outcome. This story mirrors our own lives. We may think that force of expression, shouting, intimidating, venting will win, but in reality, the calm, steady response almost always prevails in the long run. Self-mastery also appears in the choice between words and silence. Words spoken in anger often become weapons that wound deeply, sometimes irreparably. Silence chosen deliberately can be more powerful than 1,000 angry words. It can diffuse tension, preserve dignity, and maintain peace. But silence is not easy. It requires strength not to answer insult with insult. It requires confidence to know that you do not need to prove yourself with every word. When you master yourself, you learn that restraint is not emptiness, it is elegance. People trust those who can master themselves. Imagine working with a colleague who is brilliant but volatile. Every day you wonder, will they explode today? Can I rely on them when pressure rises? Contrast that with someone who stays calm under pressure. Even if they are less talented, their steadiness inspires trust. People will follow the calm one not because of raw ability, but because of reliability. Self-mastery, then, is not only personal strength, it is social strength. It builds relationships, credibility, and respect. It allows you to stand as a pillar others can lean on. Like any strength, self-mastery grows through practice. It begins with awareness, noticing when emotions start to rise. It continues with choice, deciding not to let those emotions dictate your action. Over time, this becomes habit, just as muscles grow by lifting weight. Self-mastery grows by lifting the weight of impulse and setting it down without acting on it. Journaling, reflection, mindful pauses, reframing situations. These are practical exercises in building mastery. Each small act of restraint adds to the reservoir of strength within. The Stoics place self-mastery at the heart of their philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, reminded himself in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Epictetus, once a slave, taught that freedom itself depends on self-control. No man is free who is not master of himself. For Seneca, the measure of greatness was not conquering armies, but conquering one's temper. They saw that the fiercest battle is always inward. To govern a state means little if you cannot govern yourself. To command soldiers means little if you are commanded by anger. For the Stoics, self-mastery was the ultimate strength, the foundation upon which dignity, peace, and resilience are built. Their wisdom echoes today. The calmest person in the room is not passive. They are the strongest one present. One of the most subtle ways we give away our strength is by letting others decide how we feel. It doesn't happen with a contract or a ceremony. No one signs over their emotions, but in everyday moments, quietly, almost invisibly. A stranger frowns at us and suddenly our mood sinks. A colleague criticizes us and our pride erupts in anger. A partner withholds attention and we spiral into anxiety. Without realizing it, we hand the keys of our inner life to people who may not even know they hold them. True power lies in keeping those keys for ourselves. To surrender them is to live as a puppet strings pulled by every word, every glance, every mood of the people around us. If we want to be free, if we want to be strong, we must learn not to outsource control of our emotions. Many of us from a young age are trained to look outward for approval. Good grades earn praise, and praise feels like joy. Mistakes earn scolding, and scolding feels like shame. Over time, this pattern hardens. Our happiness seems tied to the approval of others. But here is the trap: when your emotions depend on external validation, you are never secure. The applause may fade, the praise may stop, the recognition may go elsewhere. Each time your emotional state collapses, because its foundation was never truly yours. You become like a boat, tossed by waves, steady only when the sea is calm, but helpless when storms arrive. The truth is that storms are inevitable. People will misunderstand, criticize, ignore, or reject us. If we give them authority over our emotional state, we will ride an endless roller coaster of highs and lows. At work, a boss frowns during your presentation. Even if the frown has nothing to do with you, you spend the rest of the day anxious, doubting yourself, and perhaps making poorer decisions. You've given your peace away to someone else's facial expression. In relationships, your partner forgets to text you back for a few hours. Instead of calmly waiting, you spiral into insecurity, imagining rejection, abandonment, or betrayal. Their silence controls your emotions. On social media, a single negative comment outweighs 100 positive ones. One stranger's words dictate your self-worth, as if they had the authority to define you. In each case, nothing in the external world directly harms you. The harm comes from within, because you allowed someone else's actions to govern your inner state. When we hand others control of our emotions, we pay in several currencies. Our inner world becomes turbulent, constantly reacting to others. Decisions made in emotional dependency are clouded and inconsistent. We become prisoners of others' behavior, never free to stand in calm independence. People sense dependency. Those who control us intentionally or not often lose respect for us. The price is high, and yet we keep paying it because it feels easier in the short term to let others define our worth. To resist handing control to others is not to become cold or indifferent. It is not about ignoring feedback or refusing to care. It is about remembering that while we can listen to others, our final judgment belongs to us. It means being open to criticism but not shattered by it. It means enjoying praise without becoming addicted to it. It means recognizing that another person's behavior reflects them, not us. Their anger is their storm. We need not stand in the rain unless we choose to. Keeping the keys to our emotions means saying, I acknowledge what others do and say, but I reserve the right to decide how I feel. People who keep control of their emotions carry a quiet authority. They cannot be easily provoked, manipulated, or thrown off balance. Insults slide off them because they know their worth. Praise does not intoxicate them because they do not need constant confirmation. They remain steady in both failure and success. Such people are not unfeeling. They experience emotions deeply, but they filter them through choice. They do not surrender the steering wheel of their soul to others. And because of this, they inspire trust. Others may not always agree with them, but they respect their independence. Picture a marketplace in a small town. A man shouts insults at a traveller trying to provoke a fight. The traveller listens, then smiles gently and walks on. Bystanders ask him why he didn't respond. He replies, "If someone tries to hand you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does it belong?" This story illustrates the essence of emotional control. The insult is the gift. If you accept it, it becomes yours, and you carry its weight. If you refuse it, remains with the giver. Emotional independence is the art of not accepting every gift others try to press upon you. This strength is not built in a day. It requires daily awareness. Pause before reacting. Ask, is this worth giving away my peace? Reframe criticism. Instead of, they attacked me, think, this reflects their state, not mine. Balance praise. Enjoy compliments, but remind yourself, my worth doesn't rise or fall with their opinion. Set boundaries. Limit the influence of people who constantly try to manipulate or provoke you. Step by step, you learn to hold the keys firmly in your hand. The Stoics repeatedly warned against letting others control our emotions. Epictetus taught, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. By this he meant external events, and the behavior of others are not ours to command, but our judgments and responses are fully ours. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself in Meditations that other people's opinions belong to them, not to him. I have no obligation to be upset because another is unkind. That is their business. My business is to keep my mind clear. To the Stoics, surrendering your peace to others was the worst kind of slavery. True freedom meant being unmoved by insult or flattery, because both belong to the external world. By keeping control of our own emotions, we live as free human beings guided not by the whims of others, but by the steady compass of reason. There is a subtle kind of chain that many people carry without noticing. It is not made of iron or steel, yet it binds more tightly than any metal. It is the chain of emotional dependence, the habit of letting our happiness, peace, and self-worth hinge on the opinions and behavior of others. At first, this chain may feel light, even comforting. It seems natural to want approval, to seek recognition, to be loved. But over time, the weight grows heavier, and the cost becomes painfully clear. Emotional dependence occurs when our state of mind depends more on external validation than on inner stability. Instead of being grounded in who we are, we wait for signals from the outside world, a smile, a compliment, a message, like a nod of approval. If those signals arrive, we feel lifted. If they do not, we collapse. This creates a life of constant fluctuation. One day we are elated, the next we are crushed. Not because the core of our life has changed, but because we have allowed others to dictate the climate of our inner world. Why do we fall into emotional dependence? Often it begins with the illusion of safety. Validation feels good. Approval is warm. Recognition can make us believe for a moment that we are secure. We mistake these external signs for a solid foundation, but safety built on others' opinions is fragile. What happens when the applause fades? What happens when the people we rely on are absent, distracted, or unkind? Our sense of self collapses, and we scramble desperately for the next sign of reassurance. It is like building a house on sand. One shift, and everything sinks. Emotional dependence breeds constant fear. Fear of rejection, fear of disapproval, fear of being forgotten. Life becomes a performance where we anxiously wait for the audience's reaction. When we need others' approval, we bend ourselves to please them. We suppress our true thoughts, exaggerate our achievements, or pretend to be someone we are not. Slowly, we lose touch with our own identity. Those who know our need for approval can easily control us. A boss dangles recognition, a partner withholds affection. A friend uses criticism as leverage. Dependence makes us vulnerable to exploitation. Relationships built on dependence lack depth. Instead of genuine connection, there is transaction. I give you what you want, so you give me approval. The bond is conditional and fragile. The constant highs and lows drain energy. We spend our days monitoring others' reactions instead of living fully. Workplace dependence, an employee whose entire self-worth rests on the boss's praise. When recognized, they soar. When criticized, they crumble. Their productivity depends not on their values, but on external judgment. Romantic dependence. A partner who constantly asks, "Do you love me? Do you still love me?" Their sense of worth rises and falls with the other's reassurance. The relationship becomes suffocating, not nurturing. Social media dependence. A young person who posts a photo and checks it every 5 minutes for likes. The dopamine rush from approval is addictive, but the silence of fewer likes feels like failure. Each scenario shows how easily emotional dependence robs us of peace. The more we depend on others for validation, the less secure we feel. It is ironic we seek approval to feel safe, but the act of needing it makes us insecure. True confidence cannot grow in the soil of dependence. It grows only when we root ourselves in our own values, not in shifting external reactions. The antidote to emotional dependence is inner grounding, the practice of anchoring self-worth in internal principles rather than external approval. It means asking, what do I stand for? What values guide my life? Am I living according to them, regardless of what others think? When you ground yourself in your values, you carry a steady foundation wherever you go. Approval becomes pleasant, but not necessary. Criticism becomes useful, but not devastating. Your emotional climate stabilizes no longer at the mercy of passing weather. Breaking emotional dependence takes practice. It may involve noticing when your mood rises or falls with someone else's reaction, interpreting disapproval not as a personal failure, but as information to consider, or sometimes simply as noise to ignore. Keeping promises to yourself, setting goals, and achieving them without waiting for applause. Learning to be comfortable alone, discovering that peace does not require constant external reassurance. Each small act of independence strengthens the inner core, making you less vulnerable to the highs and lows of others' opinions. There is a parable of a man who walked around with an empty cup, asking everyone to pour something into it. Some filled it with sweet water, others with bitter wine. Some ignored him completely. His emotions shifted wildly with each encounter. One day, an old teacher told him, "Why wander with an empty cup? Fill it yourself, and then you will never thirst." This is the essence of emotional independence. If you fill your own cup with self-knowledge, values, and inner strength, you no longer beg for drops from others. You become full, and in your fullness, you are free. The Stoics warned constantly against emotional dependence. Epictetus said, "If you seek freedom, desire nothing that depends on others." This was not a call to isolation, but to independence of soul. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself not to live as if others' praise or blame defined him. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. For the Stoics, the price of dependence was slavery. A person who needs approval is owned by whoever can grant or deny it. The alternative is to build self-worth on reason and virtue, which are always under our control. When you ground yourself in these, you are no longer a puppet of others' moods. You become steady, like a ship with its own anchor, sailing free no matter how the winds shift. When most people imagine strength, they think of something loud and visible, the roar of a crowd, the crash of victory, the commanding presence of someone who dominates a room. But strength does not always announce itself with noise. Often it whispers. It shows itself not in the storm, but in the stillness that withstands the storm. Calmness, though quiet, is one of the most profound forms of strength a human being can possess. To the untrained eye, calmness may look like passivity or indifference. If someone remains composed while others rage, people might say they don't care. But calmness is not about apathy, it is about control. It is the discipline to feel emotion without being enslaved by it, to face provocation without collapsing, to act deliberately instead of react impulsively. The paradox is simple. The calm person may seem motionless, but inside they are exercising enormous strength. Just as it takes more effort to hold a steady plank than to flail around, calmness demands more energy, more restraint, more clarity than outburst ever could. In times of crisis, calmness becomes not just strength but survival. Imagine a firefighter entering a burning building. Panic would be natural. The flames, the smoke, the screams, but panic would also be deadly. What saves lives is not frenzy, but calm clarity, slowing the breath, scanning the scene, making one deliberate step at a time. The same principle applies to everyday crises. When a family emergency arises, the calm sibling becomes the anchor, the one everyone else turns to. When a workplace project collapses, the calm leader steadies the team, guiding them towards solutions instead of blame. In medical diagnoses, in accidents, in conflicts, again and again, it is the calm person who emerges as the source of strength. Calmness does not exist in isolation. Like a stone dropped in water, it sends ripples outward. A single calm person can steady an entire room. Their presence lowers the collective tension, reminding others that panic is optional. Think of a meeting where tempers flare. If one person maintains calm, their measured tone sets a rhythm others unconsciously match. Or consider a parent comforting a child after a nightmare. The parent's calm heartbeat, steady voice, and quiet assurance slowly replace the child's fear with safety. In this way, calmness is not only personal strength, it is communal strength. It multiplies itself, transforming not only the individual, but the environment. People respect calmness because it is rare. Anger is easy. Anxiety is common. Reactivity is everywhere. But calmness in the midst of pressure stands out. It signals reliability. It says, this person will not crumble when things get hard. That is why calm leaders inspire trust, why calm friends become confidence, why calm strangers seem magnetic. Respect does not always flow toward the loudest, almost dramatic person in the room. More often it flows toward the one who remains composed, while others lose balance. It is important to distinguish calmness from suppression. Suppression means pushing emotions down, pretending they don't exist. But suppressed emotions leak out eventually in sarcasm, bitterness, or sudden explosion. Calmness, by contrast, acknowledges emotions fully but chooses not to be ruled by them. A calm person feels anger, fear, or sadness, but they observe these emotions as passing clouds, not permanent skies. They neither deny nor indulge. They let the emotion rise, breathe through it, and then decide what to do next. That is true mastery. History offers countless examples of calmness as strength. During World War II, Winston Churchill addressed a terrified Britain as bombs fell over London. His speeches were not frantic or shrill. They were steady, measured even when the news was grim. His calmness did not deny danger. It acknowledged it, but framed it with resilience. This calm tone inspired millions to endure. Or consider the quiet courage of everyday leaders, a teacher keeping calm during an emergency drill, a doctor maintaining composure in surgery, a pilot calmly landing a plane during turbulence. Their calmness transmits strength to everyone who depends on them. Calmness does not appear magically. It is cultivated through practice, recognizing when emotions begin to rise, slowing the breath signals safety to the body and steadies the mind. Asking will this matter in a year shrinks many crises to their true size. Choosing words carefully slows the impulse to react. A calm lifestyle, regular sleep, balanced routines supports a calm mind. Each of these practices strengthens the muscle of calmness until it becomes a natural posture. In a noisy, chaotic world, calmness is revolutionary. It resists the culture of constant outrage, the addiction to drama, the cycle of reaction. It says, I will not be pulled into every storm. I will choose steadiness. This quiet revolution does not always grab headlines, but it transforms lives. It allows relationships to heal instead of break, teams to grow instead of fracture, individuals to flourish instead of burn out. Calmness does not shout. It changes everything silently. The Stoics treasured calmness as the highest form of strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, if you are disturbed by external things, it is not the things themselves that trouble you, but your judgment of them. And it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now. To him, calmness was not detachment, but mastery, the ability to separate event from interpretation. Seneca observed that anger quickly drives a man out of his senses, while calmness preserves reason. Epictetus advised his students to remain steady, even when insulted. Remember, it is not he who reviles or strikes you, who insults you, but your opinion that these things are insulting. For the Stoics, calmness was not weakness. It was the mark of a soul aligned with reason, a mind unmoved by chaos, a person who owned themselves fully. In silence and composure, they saw the essence of true strength. When we think of losing, we usually imagine being defeated by someone else, a rival at work, a competitor in sports, or an adversary in an argument. But some of the most significant losses in life don't come from external enemies. They come from within. When you lose your temper, you are not just reacting to another person, you are forfeiting control over yourself. In that moment, before any external opponent can claim victory, you have already lost to yourself. When anger takes over, the mind narrows. Instead of seeing the full picture, we obsess over the immediate offense. Logic is drowned out by emotion. A person in this state may believe they are asserting power, but they are actually surrendering reason, the very faculty that distinguishes human strength. Outbursts may intimidate others temporarily, but they also reveal fragility. Losing your temper tells the world, I am not in control of myself. Respect once lost is difficult to regain. Decisions made in anger often lead to consequences that close doors, relationships broken, careers damaged, trust destroyed. While anger may feel powerful in the moment, the aftermath exposes it as weakness. Every human being fights two battles at once, the external battle with challenges around us and the internal battle with impulses within us. The external battle is visible debates, negotiations, competitions. The internal battle is silent but more decisive. If you cannot win against yourself, no victory over others matters. Think of a general who commands thousands of soldiers but cannot command his own temper. Even if he wins battles, his lack of inner discipline will eventually ruin him. History is filled with leaders undone, not by enemies, but by their inability to master their own anger, pride, or desire. When you lash out, you might feel victorious. Perhaps you silence the other person in an argument. Perhaps they back down in fear. But look closer. What kind of victory is it? If it required you to lose yourself in the process, it is like burning your own house down to chase away a thief. You may drive them off, but you are left standing in ashes. Anger-driven victories are the same, hollow, costly, and ultimately self-defeating. In family life, a parent loses their temper with a child over a small mistake. The child obeys out of fear, but the deeper bond of trust weakens. The parent wins the argument but loses the relationship. At work, an employee explodes in frustration during a meeting. The room falls silent. They may have expressed their point, but colleagues now see them as volatile and unreliable. Influence is lost. In society, a driver honks, shouts, or gestures angrily in traffic. The adrenaline feels like release, but the risk of escalation or even violence turns a minor inconvenience into potential tragedy. In each case, the external situation might appear resolved, but the inner self has suffered defeat. Losing your temper produces a surge of adrenaline. Your heart races. Your body feels charged. Your voice grows louder. This surge creates the illusion of strength. But real strength is measured not by force of emotion, but by steadiness of control. The storm inside might feel powerful, but it is a power that destroys rather than builds. True power is quiet. It does not need to shout. It does not need to prove itself. It remains steady, acting with precision, not frenzy. The angry person believes they are displaying force. In reality, they are displaying weakness because anyone who knows their triggers can control them. Restraint does not mean cowardice. It means refusing to be mastered by impulses. It is the courage to hold back when every nerve demands release. It is the wisdom to preserve long-term goals instead of sacrificing them for short-term outbursts. Imagine someone insults you publicly. The easy path is to fire back, matching heat with heat. The harder, braver path is to pause, smile, and respond with measured words or sometimes with silence. In that moment, you do not lose to yourself. You remain whole, intact, dignified. There is an old parable about two dogs living inside each of us. One is calm, steady, disciplined. The other is wild, impulsive, furious. They are always fighting. Which one wins? The one you feed. Losing your temper means feeding the wild dog, giving it strength while weakening the disciplined one. Self-mastery means feeding the calm dog, nurturing it until it becomes strong enough to guide your life. Every moment of anger or restraint is a choice of which dog to feed. Training for victory over yourself, like any battle victory over temper, requires preparation. You cannot expect to remain calm in crisis if you never practice in ordinary moments. Begin with small provocations, a delayed train, a rude comment, a minor inconvenience. Each is an opportunity to practice restraint, to build the muscle of calm. Keep promises to yourself, journal about emotional triggers, reflect daily on how you responded to challenges. Each act of awareness strengthens the calm dog. Each act of restraint is a quiet victory. Over time, these victories accumulate until losing your temper becomes rare and losing to yourself becomes unthinkable. The Stoics saw self-mastery as the greatest victory. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." For him, losing temper was not just a lapse. It was surrendering the one domain you always control, your own mind. Seneca described anger as a brief madness that strips us of reason. To indulge it is to let insanity rule even for a moment. Epictetus urged his students to see provocation as a test, not a trap. Anyone can become angry, that is easy. But to be angry with the right person, to the right degree, at the right time, that is not within everyone's power. For the Stoics, the ultimate opponent was always the self. The one who conquers armies but loses to his temper is weak. The one who governs himself even in provocation is unshakably strong. In a world obsessed with speed, slowing down may seem like weakness. We live in a culture that celebrates immediate responses, instant emails, quick comebacks, rapid decisions. Hesitation is seen as uncertainty, delay, as failure. Yet when it comes to our emotions, the greatest strength often lies in doing the opposite, not reacting immediately, but pausing. In that pause, we reclaim control. In that breath, we separate impulse from intention. When something provokes us, an insult, a mistake, a disappointment, the body responds in milliseconds. Adrenaline spikes, heart rate rises, thoughts rush. The instinct is to react right away, to fire back words or actions before the mind has time to settle. But instant reactions often betray us. A harsh word can shatter trust. A rash decision can create regret. Once spoken or acted upon, these things cannot be undone. What felt powerful in the moment quickly reveals itself as weakness. Strength is not in the speed of the reaction, but in the wisdom of the response. Slowing down is not about doing nothing. It is about creating space. A pause can last a few seconds, a minute, or even longer. In that space, the emotion is acknowledged but not obeyed. The pause acts like a buffer between stimulus and response, giving reason a chance to re-enter. Consider someone insulting you in public. The immediate impulse might be to retaliate, but if you take a pause, breathe, count to 3, reflect, you regain perspective. You may still respond, but your words will carry clarity rather than chaos. The pause is like a shield. It does not eliminate the arrows, but it gives you time to decide whether to catch them, deflect them, or simply let them fall. The difference between reaction and response is the difference between reflex and choice. Reaction is automatic. It is driven by emotion, often without thought. Response is intentional. It considers context, consequences, and values. For example, imagine receiving harsh criticism at work. A reaction might be defensiveness, snapping back at the critic. A response might be acknowledging the comment, asking questions, and deciding later whether the criticism is valid. The reaction escalates conflict. The response builds credibility. This shift from reaction to response only happens when we slow down. Everyday opportunities to slow down life offers endless chances to practice the pause. Traffic jams. Instead of honking or cursing, breathe and remind yourself you cannot control the cars. Family conflicts. When a loved one says something sharp, resist the urge to retaliate. Let the heat pass before speaking. Work emails. When frustrated by a message, draft a reply but wait before sending. Rereading it later often reveals how much softer and wiser it can be. Social media. Before commenting on a controversial post, pause. Ask if adding your words will help or just fuel the fire. These small practices prepare us for larger challenges where the stakes are higher and the need for calm is even greater. Slowing down does not mean weakness. It means restraint. And restraint is strength. A boxer who throws wild punches may look fierce, But the skilled fighter knows when to wait, when to conserve energy, when to strike with precision. The same is true with emotions. Patience allows us to see patterns that immediacy hides. It helps us understand not just what happened, but why it happened. With that understanding, our responses become more effective and less destructive. Abraham Lincoln, during his presidency, often wrote what he called hot letters. When angered by a general, a politician, or an advisor, he would draft a fierce letter expressing all his frustrations. But instead of sending it, he placed it in a drawer and labelled it, "Never sent, never signed." The next day, with a clearer mind, he wrote a calmer, more constructive response. This habit showed that slowing down was not about suppressing feelings. It was about giving emotions time to settle, so wisdom could take the lead. Many conflicts that could have escalated were avoided because Lincoln chose the pause. If slowing down is so powerful, why do we resist it? Because pausing feels unnatural in a world of urgency. The mind craves resolution, the ego craves defense, and the body craves release of tension. To pause means sitting with discomfort, and discomfort is difficult. Yet discomfort is not danger. The pause may feel heavy at first, but it is lighter than the burden of regret. What feels hard in the moment becomes liberating in hindsight. Like any strength, the pause must be trained. You can practice in small ways. Count to 3 before replying in a heated conversation. Take 1 deep breath before answering a difficult question. Step away from your phone for 5 minutes before responding to a provocative message. Over time, these pauses grow longer, more natural. They become second nature, a reflex of wisdom rather than a reflex of emotion. Those who master the art of slowing down carry a quiet dignity. They are not rushed by insults or driven by fear. They choose their responses like an artist chooses colours deliberately, thoughtfully. Their calmness becomes a shield and a compass, guiding them through conflict without being consumed by it. Such people may not always win in the moment, but over time, they win something greater: respect, trust, and inner peace. The Stoics emphasized the pause as the gateway to wisdom. Seneca advised, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." He believed that anger left to cool often dissolves into nothing. Epictetus taught his students to create mental space when insulted. They should stop and remind themselves that their judgment, not the insult, caused the disturbance. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." For the Stoics, slowing down was not weakness, but strength, the act of reclaiming sovereignty over the mind. In the pause between impulse and action, we are free. In that breath, we discover the true power of choice. And in choosing wisely, we not only avoid defeat, we become masters of ourselves. All of us desire freedom. We talk about political freedom, financial freedom, freedom of movement. Yet beneath these lies a deeper kind of liberty that is often overlooked: inner freedom. You may live in a free country, have money in the bank, and go wherever you like. But if your emotions are enslaved by the moods, words, and actions of others, you are not truly free. Inner freedom, the ability to remain steady, regardless of external chaos, is the highest form of strength. Inner freedom means that your state of mind is not dictated by external events. It means you are no longer a puppet pulled by the strings of praise or insult, success or failure, comfort or hardship. You still experience emotions, but they pass through you without binding you. You are not numb, you are sovereign. In essence, inner freedom is the power to say, "The world may do as it will. I remain in command of myself. History is full of examples of people who had external power but lacked inner freedom. Kings and emperors surrounded by wealth were often prisoners of paranoia. Celebrities with millions of admirers still lived in misery, enslaved to criticism or comparison. Even in our own lives, we may know people who have it all, yet feel constantly anxious because their peace depends on circumstances beyond their control. On the other hand, there are stories of individuals in prisons or harsh conditions who radiated peace because they refused to let external chains bind their minds. Inner freedom can exist even in the absence of outer freedom, and without it, outer freedom feels empty. When your peace relies on the praise of others, you are chained to their opinions. When your happiness depends on success, every failure becomes a prison. When anger, fear, or desire dictate your actions, you are no longer free. You are owned by your impulses. When the possibility of losing people, possessions, or status terrifies you, you cannot move freely. You live in chains of anxiety. These enemies are not outside us. They live within. Conquering them is the path to true freedom. Imagine being insulted, yet not feeling the need to retaliate. Imagine facing disappointment, yet remaining steady instead of collapsing. Imagine hearing praise, yet not becoming addicted to it. This is the peace of inner freedom, a mind that is unshakable like a mountain unmoved by storms. Such peace is not passivity. It allows for clearer action. Because you are not ruled by impulse, you can respond with wisdom. Because you are not enslaved by fear, you can take bold steps. Inner freedom is not withdrawal from life. It is the ability to engage with life on your own terms. There is a story of a philosopher imprisoned unjustly. His jailer mocked him, saying, "You are not free. You are in chains." The philosopher replied, "You are mistaken. You may confine my body, but not my mind. You may shackle my hands, but not my will. I remain free because I govern myself." This story captures the essence of inner freedom. It cannot be taken by force. It can only be surrendered voluntarily. If you guard your mind, you remain free, no matter the circumstances. We may not live in prisons, but many of us carry invisible chains, checking our phones every few minutes to see if someone has responded, worrying endlessly about what others think of us, obsessing over achievements as if failure erases our worth, fearing loss so much that we cling desperately to people or possessions. These are prisons of our own making. Inner freedom begins by recognizing the chains and deciding not to wear them anymore. How to cultivate inner freedom. Focus on effort and virtue, not results. Do your best and let the outcome be what it may. Treat praise and criticism alike as passing weather. Neither defines you. Instead of fearing it, accept it as part of life. What can be taken was never truly yours. Observe your emotions. Ask, am I choosing this response, or am I being dragged into it? Anchor your life in principles that cannot be taken away. Honesty, integrity, kindness, wisdom. Each step breaks a chain and strengthens sovereignty over the self. When you cultivate inner freedom, life changes. Suddenly, you are not exhausted by the roller coaster of others' opinions. You are not trapped by the highs and lows of success and failure. You live lighter, clearer, calmer. Relationships improve because you no longer cling or manipulate, you love freely. Work improves because you act with focus, not fear. Even solitude becomes sweet because your peace does not depend on company. Inner freedom is not just strength, it is joy. For the Stoics, inner freedom was the ultimate goal. Epictetus, once a slave, taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." His body could be bound, but his mind remained sovereign. Marcus Aurelius echoed this in Meditations. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Seneca warned against letting circumstances dictate peace. He who is brave is free. Freedom in the Stoic sense meant liberation from fear, anger, and dependency. They believed that the true chains were not iron shackles, but our own attachments and judgments. To them, the person who could remain calm in insult, steady in failure, and humble in success was the freest human alive. Inner freedom was not luxury, it was necessity. For without it, all external freedoms collapse into emptiness. Respect is one of the most sought-after qualities in human life. We want respect from colleagues, from friends, from our families, and even from strangers. Many chase it through power, money, or attention, but true respect, lasting, genuine, and deep, does not come from what we own or how loudly we speak. It comes from how we carry ourselves, especially under pressure. Nothing earns respect more quietly, yet more powerfully, than calmness. Calmness signals mastery. When someone stays composed while others lose control, it reveals strength that does not need to prove itself. People instinctively trust those who can remain steady in the storm. They think, if this person is calm, perhaps I can lean on them. If they are not shaken, maybe I don't have to be either. Respect flows not toward volatility, but toward stability. A calm person becomes a pillar someone others rely on, not because they are the loudest, but because they are the most grounded. Self-respect begins with how we treat ourselves. If we lose our temper easily, if we let every insult provoke us, we erode our own dignity. Each outburst is a small betrayal of the self. But when we hold calmness, even in the face of provocation, we preserve our dignity. Calmness says, I know my worth. I don't need to shout to prove it. I don't need to collapse because of someone else's words. That inner assurance radiates outward and others sense it. They may not agree with us, but they respect us because we respect ourselves. Some people mistake fear for respect. A manager who shouts may silence employees. A parent who yells may get compliance. But these are not signs of respect. They are signs of fear, and fear is fragile. Once fear is removed, respect evaporates. True respect lasts because it is rooted in admiration, not intimidation. People admire composure. They admire the strength to remain steady. They may not remember the details of what you said, but they will remember how you carried yourself. Leadership provides the clearest example of this principle. Imagine two leaders facing crisis. The first leader panics, lashes out, and spreads anxiety through the team. Even if they are talented, their volatility creates distrust. The second leader stays calm, speaks clearly, and steadies the group. Even if they don't have all the answers, their composure inspires confidence. Which leader will people respect more? The calm one. Respect is not about always being right. It is about being reliable when it matters most. Respect is not only important in leadership, it is essential in relationships, in families, friendships and marriages. Calmness builds trust. When one partner reacts to every difficulty with anger, the relationship becomes fragile. But when calmness guides responses, respect deepens. For example, during an argument, one person may raise their voice. If the other stays calm, listening, pausing, speaking gently, the tone of the entire interaction shifts. Instead of escalation, there is resolution. Respect grows because calmness shows care, discipline, and maturity. You cannot demand respect from others if you do not respect yourself. And self-respect grows from calmness. Each time you resist the urge to lash out, you strengthen your self-image. Each time you pause instead of snapping, you tell yourself, I am in control. I am stronger than my impulses. Over time, this becomes a foundation of confidence. You walk into situations knowing that whatever happens, you will not betray yourself. That assurance radiates outward, and others respond to it. There is a story of a teacher who was insulted by a student in front of the whole class. The room fell silent, waiting for the teacher to explode. Instead, the teacher smiled calmly and continued the lesson. Later, another student asked, "Why didn't you respond? Didn't you feel disrespected?" The teacher replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, the gift still belongs to them. Why should I take the burden of anger that is not mine?" The students remembered this moment more than any lecture. They saw that true respect was not lost in silence. It was earned by calmness. Calmness is cultivated, not inherited. To build respect through calmness, pause before responding. A measured word earns more respect than 1,000 shouted ones. Choose dignity over victory. Winning an argument at the cost of dignity erodes respect. Anchor in values. If you act consistently with your principles, calmness follows naturally. Practice presence. When you listen fully and without agitation, people feel respected and return it. These habits, practiced daily, slowly shape a reputation of calm dignity. The lasting impression of calmness years later, people often forget details of what we said or did, but they remember how we made them feel. A calm presence lingers in memory like a steady light. When others think of us, they recall not the noise of arguments, but the quiet strength that steadied them. This is why calmness is not only a path to self-respect, it is the surest way to earn the respect of others. The Stoics taught that self-respect and calmness were inseparable. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." To him, dignity meant refusing to be pulled into anger. Seneca observed that nothing diminishes respect more quickly than uncontrolled temper. No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. He believed that true dignity emerges when we meet adversity with calmness. Epictetus reminded his students that respect is not earned by demanding it, but by embodying it. First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. In other words, live calmly, consistently, and with integrity. Respect will follow naturally. For the Stoics, the calm person was not only respected by others, but more importantly, respected by themselves, and that they believed was the highest form of honor. Self-mastery does not arrive by accident. It is not a gift bestowed at birth, nor is it something that suddenly appears in moments of crisis. Like physical strength, emotional control must be trained. The calmness that commands respect, the pause that prevents regret, the composure that inspires trust, all these qualities are the result of deliberate practice. Without training, emotions will govern us. With training, we learn to govern them. Many people believe they will simply be calm when the situation requires it. Yet when the heat of conflict or stress arrives, their good intentions collapse. Without preparation, our primitive impulses take over. Just as no athlete expects to win without practice, no person should expect to master emotions without daily training. Emotional control is not spontaneous, it is cultivated. The first step in training is awareness. You cannot control what you do not notice. Too often people realize they are angry only after they have shouted, or they sense fear only after they avoided an opportunity. Awareness means noticing the emotion as it rises, catching it in its early stages. Practices like journaling, reflection, And even simple mental check-ins, what am I feeling right now, sharpen this awareness. Over time, you begin to see the small sparks before they become fires. And once you see them, you can choose how to respond. Training also requires reflection. After moments of emotional struggle, an argument, a stressful meeting, a wave of anxiety, take time to review. What triggered me? How did I react? What could I have done differently? Reflection is not self-blame, it is self-study. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, practiced this nightly. In his meditations, he reviewed his day, reminding himself of where he fell short and how he might improve. This practice turned every day into a lesson, every mistake into training. When you feel provoked, deliberately pause. Count to 3. Take a breath or excuse yourself for a moment. Each pause strengthens your ability to separate impulse from response. Shift perspective on difficult events. Instead of thinking, this is an insult, think, this is information about the other person's state. Reframing weakens the emotional grip of the event. When angry, write down everything you want to say but don't send it. Like Abraham Lincoln's hot letters, this allows emotions to cool before action. Imagine future challenges and rehearse calm responses. Athletes visualize their games. You can visualize your composure, morning meditation, evening journaling, or setting intentions for the day. Small rituals reinforce discipline and stability. Training emotions is like training muscles. One workout will not transform your body. One attempt at calmness will not change your temperament, but consistent practice builds strength over time. The small moments, choosing silence in a minor argument, delaying a response to an irritating message, are repetitions in the gym of the soul. Over months and years, these repetitions add up. What once required effort becomes natural. Calmness becomes your default, not your exception. Training does not mean perfection. There will be failures, moments when anger bursts out, when fear holds you back, when sadness overwhelms you. These are not signs of defeat, but opportunities for deeper practice. Each setback reveals where the work remains. The key is to treat setbacks as part of the training. An athlete who drops the weight does not quit the gym. They try again, stronger. Likewise, when emotions overwhelm you, reflect, learn, and return to practice. A Japanese story tells of a master swordsman who trained his students not only in technique but in composure. One student, known for his temper, asked how he could improve. The master said, "Go to the marketplace. When someone insults you, do not respond. Return only when you can face insult without anger." The student spent years practicing. At first he failed often, but slowly insult lost its grip on him. When he returned, the master said, "Now you are ready, for the greatest enemy is not the one before you, but the one within." This story illustrates that emotional control is not natural talent. It is the fruit of deliberate discipline training. Training for emotional control yields immense rewards. You are less disturbed by daily frustrations. Crises become manageable, not catastrophic. Decisions are guided by reason, not impulse. Others trust and admire your steadiness. You no longer live as a puppet of your emotions. These rewards are not abstract. They shape every aspect of life, from work to relationships to personal fulfillment. The Stoics viewed life itself as a training ground for emotional control. Epictetus compared philosophy to exercise. No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. Emotional mastery, like fruit, requires time and cultivation. Seneca advised deliberate practice. We must spend life in training, not in learned words, but in constant and noble actions. For him, every challenge was an opportunity to strengthen composure. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning of the difficulties he would face, not to despair, but to prepare his mind for them calmly. To the Stoics, training emotions was not optional, but essential. Just as soldiers train for battle, philosophers train for life. And the greatest victory is always over oneself. Happiness is one of humanity's oldest pursuits. We chase it through wealth, relationships, accomplishments, and recognition. Yet so often, happiness slips away just when we believe we've grasped it. The reason is simple. Most of what we chase lies outside our control, and anything outside our control can vanish. Lasting happiness cannot be built on shifting ground. It must rest on something steady, something that cannot be taken from us. That foundation is calmness. Calmness is the condition that allows happiness to take root. Without calmness, joy is fleeting, swallowed by anxiety, anger, or restlessness. A person may have success, but if their mind is in constant turmoil, they cannot enjoy it. Conversely, someone with modest possessions but a calm heart can experience deep, abiding contentment. Calmness makes happiness sustainable. It is not a spike of excitement but a steady flame. It transforms happiness from an accident of circumstance into a way of being. Much of what people call happiness is actually pleasure. The thrill of a purchase, the rush of applause, the sweetness of praise. But pleasure is temporary. It fades quickly, leaving us restless for the next fix. Happiness rooted in calmness is different. It does not depend on stimulation. It is not fragile. It is a quiet satisfaction in the present moment, a sense that nothing more is needed right now. Calmness makes happiness less like a spark and more like sunlight, steady, reliable, always present behind the clouds. Even genuine joy can be destroyed if the mind is restless. Anxiety about the future steals happiness from the present. Anger at others poisons what could have been a peaceful day. Fear of loss overshadows the gifts we already have. Without calmness, happiness is like a fragile glass vase, beautiful but easily shattered. Calmness is the protective case that keeps joy intact. It does not eliminate storms, but it prevents them from uprooting our peace. Calmness also makes happiness independent. If your joy depends only on external events, then you are at the mercy of the world. But if your joy is rooted in calmness, then even when difficulties come, you carry a steady core of peace. This does not mean ignoring sorrow or denying pain. Calmness does not erase difficulty. It allows us to experience difficulty without being consumed by it. It provides a foundation that suffering cannot fully erode. That foundation is what makes joy resilient. An old story tells of a farmer whose fields were struck by a violent storm. Neighbours pitied him, saying, "You must be devastated. You've lost your crops." The farmer replied calmly, "Maybe." Days later, the storm's water nourished the soil, leading to an abundant harvest. Again, the neighbours exclaimed, "You are so fortunate." The farmer replied, "Maybe." The farmer's calmness did not mean he was emotionless. It meant he did not let external events dictate his happiness. Whether the storm seemed good or bad, he remained steady. His joy came not from the harvest, but from a mind at peace with life's uncertainty. Excitement fades. Promotions, purchases, vacations all bring joy, but only for a moment. Soon, we crave more. This cycle leaves us restless, always chasing, never arriving. Calm happiness is different. It is not tied to novelty. It is a contentment that remains even in ordinary days. Imagine two people, one always chasing the next thrill, another sitting quietly with a book, a cup of tea, and a calm heart. Who is more likely to say, "This is enough"? Lasting happiness belongs to the one who has learned calm satisfaction. Calm happiness grows from daily practice. Noticing small blessings steadies the mind in appreciation. Reducing unnecessary noise and possessions reduces agitation. Returning to the moment prevents worry about what has not yet come. Recognizing what cannot be changed ends the battle with reality. Releasing anger toward others preserves inner peace. Happiness built on these practices is not fragile, it is enduring. Society often measures success by wealth or achievement, but calmness may be the truest measure. Many wealthy, famous people live tormented lives, while many ordinary individuals radiate peace and joy. Success without calmness feels empty. Calmness without wealth still feels whole. Calmness ensures that when success comes, we can enjoy it, and when loss comes, we can endure it. It turns life from a roller coaster into a steady journey. The Stoics saw calmness not as luxury, but as necessity for a good life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Calmness ensures those thoughts are clear and steady, not ruled by passion. Seneca warned against chasing excitement. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Calmness anchors us in the present where happiness is found. Epictetus taught that happiness comes not from controlling events, but from controlling ourselves. Seek not that events should happen as you will, but will them as they happen, and you will have peace. For the Stoics, calmness was not passive. It was the foundation of joy, resilience, and freedom. Happiness that depends on calmness is not fragile. It is lasting because it rests on the one thing always within our control, the state of our own mind. Across these 12 reflections, a single truth has emerged again and again. Strength is not found in anger, in noise, or in domination. It is found in calmness, in the ability to master ourselves when the world presses hardest against us. Anger feels powerful, but it is only proof of lost control. Dependence on others for our emotions feels natural, but it is a quiet surrender of freedom. Each time we lose our temper, we lose first and foremost to ourselves. Yet calmness reverses this pattern. Calmness allows us to respond instead of react, to preserve dignity, instead of trading it for victory, to build respect through restraint. We have seen that calmness does not mean weakness or passivity. It is an active discipline, a strength trained through awareness, reflection, and daily practice. It protects happiness from the storms of life, anchors self-respect, inspires trust, and creates the foundation for true inner freedom. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius Seneca and Epictetus all taught that the greatest conquest is the conquest of self. Their wisdom echoes in our modern lives, that calmness is not simply a mood, but a way of being a shield against chaos, a compass toward clarity, and the seedbed of lasting joy. The journey is not about perfection. We will stumble, we will feel anger, we will lose our balance at times. But each setback is an invitation to return to pause, to strengthen the habit of calmness. Over time, the victories accumulate. The storms still come, but they no longer shake us. So the final question is this: when the world provokes you, will you hand over control of your emotions, or will you hold the keys to your own inner freedom? In that choice lies the difference between being enslaved by life and being sovereign within it. Calmness is not the absence of struggle, it is the presence of strength. And when you learn to carry calmness, you discover a happiness that no circumstance can take away.